So I'm going to take this rabbit and end its life before I process it to make stew. By doing that, it will be, with all good intention, as humane as possible. I don't want to cause this rabbit any sort of undue stress or upset. It's very painless. There will be some thrashing at the end, nerves. You know, most of us took biology. We know that when things die, they don't lay still for the first minute. But hopefully all will go well, and I won't cause this rabbit any upset.
It took me 3 years to figure out I could do this.
Okay, so as I hold her upside down, she'll calm, and her head will come up. See? As such, okay? So there are a few ways. I can hit her directly there with a chop, or a stick, or some device, and that will take her down. But I don't feel confident in saying that I'm going to hit there perfectly. I might miss, hit her back, hit her on the top of the head. That's not going to be cool for her. So I can simply change hands. Grab her by the head. And it's done. Okay, a little bit of kicking, like I said, but she is dead. Done.
Were you pulling straight in line with the spine, or
kind of up
a little bit?
Yeah, sort of grabbing, pulling the feet, and kind of torquing it. So now we have to decide what we do with this rabbit. Let's pull the guts. We can't keep it this way; it'll spoil. So there are a few techniques. One being you can hang from a support. Okay, you can use paracord, make some little base loops, hang her from a tree, do your slice like you would any animal, for those who know to hunt, around the vent, they call it, around their genitals, down, spill the guts, and then you can basically strip the skin from the feet all the way down, just like pulling off your sock. It's pretty bizarre, but it works. Anyways, we'll eviscerate this guy, girl, and carry on with cooking. So we can pull down the knife here through the gut, but we don't want to cut so deep that we cut into the intestines. It'll spill everywhere. It's kind of gross. You have to do a bit more cleanup.
Digesting.
That's right. So if you want to pull that leg out towards you a bit, we'll just open that up some. Okay.
Ready?
We'll find where her lady bits are, and I'll just make a slice.
Oh, it's
there.
heavier now.
That's just me pushing. Okay. Little poop comes out. Oh well. All right. So we have a slice there and there. Okay, nice pull to you. Sharp knife is obviously important here. A lot of warmth still. Okay. And then we will take her over here.
Shall I go?
Yep. And we'll spill its guts, okay? Spill your guts, they say. There's certain parts in here that are usable. This isn't one of them. Okay, that's a stomach full of yummy grass that this little girl has eaten. Intestine. Also not really great. Just pull it out, throw it down. Look at all the little poops ready to come out. Isn't that funny?
Some people
Looks like we got a little liver. Okay, that is very good for you, right? Especially in a survival situation. Super rich, full of nutrients and vitamins. So that's worth keeping. So now it's time for cleanup. More poops. So this diaphragm is basically what this part is here. You have to rip that open, and you can access all the guts in here. And you can cut out their reproductive organs right here, okay? And basically, from there on up, it's head, neck, throat, okay, and a little bit of membrane. So we're going to wash this all up. We'll get some hose water, clean it all up nice. Then I'll show you guys how to break it down and get some meat off of it.
I'm here.
Oh, yeah.
I got Flemish Giants.
Oh, nice.
I got the Californians and...
That is the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
Pulling them apart?
So,
It literally looks like
oh, yeah.
a stuffed animal.
And then once you get the skin off, it's not as
I'm assuming this isn't
cuddly
as bad as
anymore,
you thought it
and
would
it's
be.
easier to deal with.
As bad as I thought it would be.
You can do a lot of this
I
with a
wanna
hand,
use
right?
the
You don't even need a
pelts
knife.
for something.
You can tan
Pull it off.
it, use
Because
the
I
brain.
feel like,
Yeah.
it was a nice piece of fur.
Fishing help.
Tail, that's what got you?
No, I just got here.
Little poop still. Yeah.
It's flexing. It still moves. Nerds. It still moves. You see this?
No,
Well, that's all me.
It's just him bouncing it around.
So now I'll take them over, give it a good wash, good rinse, and we have legs just like chicken. Doesn't it look just like a chicken leg? You know, and it is exactly the same butchering skill. Rabbit, actually, in the culinary world, is in the poultry category. Isn't that strange? But it is. More poop. Even though it's not a bird. Oh, there's that heart.
No.
So, and then the legs, up front legs, what do they look sort of like? Chicken
Wings.
wings.
Yeah.
Chicken wing, right? So that's basically all the meat you're going to get off a rabbit. That's maybe 1,000 calories for one person. It's not a lot of food. There's very little fat in a rabbit. In fact, if you eat rabbit every day, and that's all you eat, you'll die. You will get malnourished because you won't have enough fat in your diet. It's happened to people in survival situations back in the old days. All they did was eat rabbits, and they died. So, interesting. So I'm going to go clean this guy up, and then we're going to make some stew. We're going to just find the meat, just get a pinch on it, get a feel for it, see the ribs here, and I'm just going to follow those ribs down slowly and carefully so I don't slice my finger. All right? And I'll just slice down until it gets to the shoulder. And there's not much, right? Very, very little meat there. That's the front leg. Okay? It's already hot now. Let's get it out of the way. Same idea on the other side. Find that little membrane right along the rib cage. Just follow it down. Put the knife do the work. And you get to the joint if you need to. Sometimes you have to dislocate it. This one I don't because it's already been that way. And there's another leg. Okay. Up here, really nothing. You can save this, make stock, or if you're making stew, which I am, just throw it in there and then pull it out at the end because it's got a lot of flavor, lots of collagen and elastin and stuff that'll make the stew taste nice and yummy.
Yo, what are we gonna do with pelt? We can try and make it into
sell it. All right, so then I can just take these rib bones here, and go right down the spine.
Oh, crap. Sorry.
Oh, this is not the most secure table, so I'll just rip them. Yeah. Nice thing. Oh,
you missed.
Yeah, I totally did. That's okay.
Oh, Jordan, come on, man.
Got an onion in already.
Ingredients in there.
Yeah, it's just a really rough stew, you know, just throw it in as it is.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, that's right. Good German dish. Yeah. So now we have the rear end. So this is where we will have to do a little dislocation. So these back legs, just like a chicken, it's the exact same with a chicken, it's just a little bit different anatomy, but you grab it by that femur bone, okay, and you put your thumb on top of it, and you just pop it up and out. And you hear that sound, and you know it, you can see it, there it is, you just follow it behind. And that's where the meat is.
Who's gonna eat it? I don't know who's gonna eat it.
Around the back.
What are you gonna do with like the fur on the foot?
Oh, I'll trim that off. Like right now. This is actually a good job for the axe. That's better.
You got a lucky rabbit's foot now.
All right.
There you go.
Now we have the meaty section, okay, the loin and the tenderloin.
Careful, you're gonna end up in the
So this up here is on every meat, except for chicken. Pork, beef, whatever. It's called silver skin or collagen. It will never cook tender. So if you just take your knife, get underneath that, you can just slice it off. Because if you don't, you're going to be chewing on it. It's like a rubber band. You'll often see that on a pork tenderloin.
Is that essentially like fascia, or version of fascia?
Yeah, it's basic. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it's a connective tissue made of collagen and elastin, and it just doesn't, like, fat will cook tender. Even tough muscles will eventually cook tender. But this stuff will never, you can cook it for 20 days. It'll never tender up. And this is actually a little bit more of it here, but it's tender and young, so I'm going to leave it. So then I just follow, lop this guy up here. So now I'm going to follow the spine down, find out where the vertebrae are. Feeling that with my finger, I'll use it as a guide. Slice. Down all the way. Peel back. Get out of here, fly. And just keep pulling and slicing at the same time. And that'll pull the meat away from the bone.
It's lazy.
So you can twist that guy up, throw him in the pot. And we'll just throw all this in here. Ooh. All right. I'm going to take a second, give myself a bit of a walk.
Go. Just repeat.
So once we brown up the meat, we will caramelize the onions, then add in our aromatics, the celery, carrots, garlic. I've got a little mixture of herbs and spices. Things that are generally found in the wild, which is cool. Juniper berries. Always go good with wild game. You can always find them often in the wild. Parsley, maybe you can't find that, but you can find Queen Anne's lace. Any of the Daucus family is carrot flavory, so it's nice. Wild thyme is easy to find. There's a bit of sage. Maybe you can find sage. If you can't find sage, pine needles. Gives it that nice wild flavor without having to carry around a spice rack with you. So at this point, I took a couple onions that I grew in my garden and just give them a rough dice, threw them in the pot, and I'm going to use some of this kind of horrific celery that I grew. It didn't turn out very well. It's very thin and wispy, but it's got a nice flavor, and it'll add a nice level of depth to the stew. Celery has a nice natural amount of salt in it, which is nice because in a survival or wilderness setting, you may not have the luxury of having some salt with you. And if anybody out there has had, soup or stew made without salt, it's pretty awful. We are so trained to taste foods that are well seasoned that when we eat something that has no salt, it literally is horrendous. So the nice thing is, celery has a nice natural amount of salt. So we'll just throw that in as well. Use that spoon before I burn it. Use a couple carrots as well. Nice thing with carrots, celery adds the salt, carrots add the sugar. So the nice thing with sugar in a stew or a soup or a stock is as the water level goes down, that sugar will concentrate. You'll give it a nice color and a nice rich flavor. So I'll just chunk these into a rough chop. Nothing fancy. We're not here to win any medals. Now that I've lowered that fire down, or pot down, closer to the fire, we're getting a better sizzle. The water from the rabbit and the vegetables has evaporated. So we've gone from like a simmering, bubbly sound to that sizzling sound, which means fat is now frying meat, which is what we want to hear. So at this point now, I can cook this for about another 10 minutes or so, and that's going to pick up some nice color. Then I'll add in some liquid, and at that point now, all we have to do is reduce. I'll add some spices. In fact, I can add some spices now. So again, I have in here...
Did you just pick this up from what was available outside now?
No, that would be awesome if I did that. I wish I had them. You can't count on the fact that you're going to have all the yummy yummies out there. Certainly in this area of the woods, there's not a lot of coniferous, so there's not a lot of pine or juniper bushes kicking around. So I've opted to bring a little bit of my fresh thyme from my garden. I'll just throw that in whole. You can strip it off the leaves if you want, but for the most part, it falls right off as you cook it. Pull the stems out at the end. I've got some Italian parsley. I'll put that up there. Again, if you don't have parsley or anything like that, it's in the same family as Queen Anne's lace. So if you can find some Queen Anne's lace and you know how to identify that, you can use some of that for flavor. But
the root you use?
You can use the green, the leaf.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it looks just like carrot green. Yeah, what you need to know though is what the difference is between Queen Anne's lace and hemlock, poison hemlock. They have a very similar appearance, right? So the last thing you want to do is add hemlock into your stew and kill your friends, so or your children. I also have some fresh sage. Sage, for those who don't know, that's that flavor you get at Thanksgiving, Christmas on the turkey. That nice poultry spice. You can get a similar smell and flavor profile if you use a little bit of pine needle. White pine is always the nicest. It's got a nicer flavor. Around here, there's a lot of red pine. The needles are a little coarser. Throw them in whole, pull them out at the end. You'll get a nice little flavor. Again, also some juniper berries and a little bit of dried thyme. So once I get a little bit of caramelization on there and a bit of water in the pot, I opted today, instead of thickening your stew with flour, which you're probably not going to have out in the wild, but if you do, cool, that's great. You could make bannock, you could make dumplings, put in the stew, that'll help thicken it up. I like barley myself. I like barley with white meats like chicken. It goes nice in the stew, it thickens up, it swells up nice, it makes you feel like you're eating something big. For those who are gluten intolerant, unfortunately though, it's not a good fit. Other than that though, I think the rest of the spices and herbs and such are in. So we'll just brown this up a little more, add some water, and carry on. Point I'm starting to get some sticking, and sometimes sticking we think is bad. We think, oh, it's burning, but it's actually not bad. As long as it's not burning and you smell it, you scrape it a little, give it a smell. It doesn't smell burnt, it smells like food. It's time to deglaze. Basically we want to add some liquid, either water, wine, or beer. Like white wine would be awesome right now in this, or a nice wheat beer would be awesome, something like that. I'm not going to sacrifice any of mine, but a little water in here, what it'll do is it'll instantly cool that pan down, and all the food that's stuck to the bottom will release. And all the flavors. You got half a beer is all I need. That'd be awesome, man. Cheers. While you do that, I'll fire up the fire. I won't even use
Beer to spare even.
Yeah, nice organic beer. Cheers to you. Appreciate that. So that liquid in there, you'll see, instantly cools the pan down, and everything that's stuck on the bottom will start to come up. And that's flavor country, my friends. That is insane. That's what you want. And you'll see as soon as you do that, and then I add the water, this isn't going to look like watery chicken bones or rabbit bones. It's going to have a nice brown color to it, which is what you want. When you see brown, that's Flavor Town. So at this point, I'm going to add a bit more water. I've got about just shy of 500 mils here. Probably I'm looking at 2 liters. So about 4 bottles worth, thereabouts. It's up to you. It doesn't matter how much water you use, really. The fact of the matter is if you want a rich stew, you're going to have to cook that water down. But when you do that, you're going to pull all the flavor out of those bones and the meat, which is great. So if you have the time, go big and let it do its thing. And as I stir this up, you're going to see we've got some great color going on here. And that's with minimal caramelization. How do you like that taste?
That's pretty good.
Rich, eh? Nice? Doesn't taste weird or anything.
It's not gamey.
It is different probably from what you're used to, and a lot of the big flavor that you're tasting is actually not the rabbit, it's duck fat. And duck fat is beautiful. It's got a great taste.